We call that the law of Goya, G-O-Y-A, get off your ass.
You have a lot more time than you think. You're just not being intentional. That's the problem.
Most procrastination, by the way, is done because of low self-esteem.
Rise and shine, it's espresso time. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I am not a morning person. But when you start your day with a powerful routine that inspires you, like watching one of these videos, it can change your life. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee, know that I believe in you, and get ready for a shot of espresso from John Assaraf.
I wake up every morning. Espresso keep me going. I wake up every morning.
There was actually a very, very big mistake in the movie The Secret.
Okay.
And in the movie The Secret, the story that was told was that all you have to do is think, believe in your heart, and you'll achieve. It's not true. There's a lot of people who think wonderful, great thoughts. They believe that I deserve this and I can have this. But they don't do one thing, and this is what causes their problem. You know what that one thing is?
I want to know.
They don't take consistent action every day. So in The Secret, they didn't talk about you have to do the right things in the right order at the right time. And they led a lot of people to believe that all you have to do
Think about
is
it.
think about it. Well, I've never met a monk in a monastery who's been praying to make money, and through the ceiling, a safe falls with $1 million. I've never met that yet. But I have met a lot of people who think and believe, and then they learn what they need to learn. They upgrade their knowledge and their skills. They overcome their fears. They overcome their doubts. They overcome their lack of confidence. They overcome their lack of certainty, and they take action anyway. And then little by little, things start to happen for them. They achieve the results. And we call that the law of Goya, G-O-Y-A, get off your ass. So law of attraction.
It's my favorite law.
Yeah, law of attraction and law of Goya together, that's what works.
Consistent action is the cure-all. Whatever problem you have, whatever issue you're facing, whatever big life you want to create for yourself, the way to get there is not some giant short burst of effort. It's the daily, consistent, grinding action that will help you accomplish your goals. People look at my channel, and a lot of new people have joined over the past number of years. Hey, welcome aboard, great to have you. Welcome to Believe Nation. It's a positive, happy place. It's great to have you here. It's an honor to be a part of your daily routine. If you go and look at my channel, my main channel and the history, it took so many years, guys, so many years of just making content and not seeing any results. It took, I forget what the number is, it took 5 years to get to 9,000 something subscribers, and another 5 years to get to almost 2 million subscribers. Now we're sitting over 3 million subscribers, etc. I haven't missed an upload every single day for, I don't know, 8 years? Something crazy like that. Every day. I've made videos through travel. I've made videos through electricity outages. I made videos through breaking my neck. I made videos through my tour. I made videos through vacation. I made videos. And you can plan, you can prepare, you can get ahead, you can batch them. But I don't think your goals count until they're hard. It's when it gets hard, when you get tested, that's when you have to show yourself what you're made of. Even little things like, I remember filming at my dance studio in Toronto, and I had my camera guy and my assistant, and we're filming, and the electricity goes out, and then there's a fire alarm. Like, oh, I guess we can't film. Like, the first thing that my camera guy says is, okay, well, I guess we can't film. Well, I can't film with this like electricity outage and then fire alarm. Fire alarm, bam, bam, bam. Like you can't film with that. It's like, I'm filming today. So I took my phone, it was freezing outside. I took my phone, went outside and just started filming. Because videos have to go up. They have to go up. I've made videos with my broken neck. I broke my neck in 2 spots, had a concussion, and next week I'm making videos. They weren't as long, they weren't as good. I'm wearing a neck brace. If you look at the old videos, I'm wearing this giant neck brace. I got this giant scab here on my forehead because I smashed my head against the wall when I fainted, and that's how it led to the concussion, broken neck. I'm still making videos. Not making videos is not an option. And so if you look at someone like me who is introverted, is shy, who doesn't like the camera, who always thought that people who are famous had a big ego, who I still don't like being on stage, I still get nervous every single time, but I still have a message and I still want to serve. How does somebody like that have this kind of channel? Well, because of every single day making videos. We've done over 10,000 videos. I've done over 10,000 videos. That's crazy. Not all of them are public, but even just on the main channel, let alone this channel and the top 10 channel, the other channel, 10,000 plus videos over 12 years. Why? How? It's just a consistent action. I think most people lose because we overestimate what we can do in a really short period of time and underestimate what we can do in a long period of time. You think by putting in 3 weeks of hard work, you're gonna crush it. But really, if you just stayed on it, like you've had ideas. You have had an idea that you loved, that you gave up on too soon, that if you just kept doing it, this is an idea that you had maybe 3 years ago, that if you just found the way to keep doing it, even part-time, even on the side, even on the weekends, if you just kept at it, you'd be in a different place right now. Something would have happened, something would have paid off. But we're too frustrated to get something to happen right now, and I get it. I'm there too. I'm impatient. I want immediate results. I want things to happen. I'm putting my best. I want this video right now to be the best one I've ever done. And I put my effort to try to make that happen. And I fully recognize at the same time that it's a long game, that you have to keep going. And that if it's your purpose, you can't give up on it. Most people just quit too soon. You just quit too soon. And that's you quitting on your dream. And if it's your dream and you want it to happen, it's a daily, consistent action to make it happen. So how do you do it? Let me give you some tactics so that you can not just get motivated from a message, but actually apply it to your life. Number 1, you have to create a calendar. These videos happen because they're in my calendar. I'm filming this on a Tuesday. Tuesday is my YouTube day. I always film on Tuesday. I block it off in my calendar. I just came back from vacation, and on the Tuesday of my week, I was still making videos. People say, well, you still work on vacation. First off, it's not work. Like, I like this. This is fun for me. This isn't, oh, I have to go make videos. If that was my mindset, I'd be out. I wouldn't do it anymore. But also, if you're on vacation and you're making videos or you're doing a little bit of work, to spend 3 hours of a 24-hour day doing something is totally achievable. Somebody, one of the people that I invested into yesterday is like, how do I take a vacation on my business? Like, my wife wants to know, how do I go on vacation and run this business? Like, you can still, you can either plan ahead and get ahead with all your clients, or you can still do some work. Do you not have personal time? Are you gonna be around your wife 24 hours a day? Does your wife not wanna go to the spa or spend some time on the beach? It's not about the 3 hours that you spend working. It's about the other hours, the 21 hours, you get to sleep, but whatever, all the other hours that you have in the day, it's about intentional time. Most people's life is not intentional. Most of your vacation time is not intentional either. If you were to spend 21 hours a day with your wife, intentionally creating an amazing relationship, then the 3 hours a day you're going to spend working is easy as nothing. So of course you could take time off. But you have to put in your calendar. You have to create a calendar that makes sense for you. Schedule in when you're actually going to make your dreams happen. Because otherwise it's just a dream. I could say I want to make YouTube videos, but if it was never in my calendar, guess what? It would never happen. And this applies for life too. Every afternoon at 2:30, I spend time with Nina, with my wife. We spend time in the morning. I take an intentional break at 2:30. We go to the park. We take the dogs with us. We stay inside and just be together if it's raining. Like, we'll spend time every day, every weekday at 2:30 because I wanted to spend more time with Nina during the week. Weekends, we're basically all in on the relationship, but the weekdays can be crazy, you know? So we spend time in the morning, we spend time in the evening, and I wanted to spend 2:30, it's 25 minutes together, but intentional 25 minutes. That intentional 25 minutes is worth more than 3 hours of just sitting in front of a TV. That's not time together. You have a lot more time than you think. You're just not being intentional. That's the problem. If you feel like you got to the end of the week and you were so busy, but you got nothing done and everything's falling apart, you're just not intentional with your time. So you schedule it in. Whatever you want in a life, whatever your dream life looks like, whatever your goals, ambitions, motivations are, put it in your calendar. 2, be the person who follows through on their calendar. Stop letting yourself off the hook for not following through on your calendar. I'm a little tired today because we just came back from our trip. I'm a little jet lagged from coming out from the West. I'm still making videos. Videos have to be made. They're going up. Like, when do you let yourself break? If it's in the calendar, it has to happen. Videos have to happen today. I don't care if I'm lying in bed. I don't care if I'm in the hospital. I've made videos from the hospital. I don't care where videos have to come up. I don't care if they're the best videos. They're the best with what I can make right now. If I'm tired, they might be lower than my standard, but it's the best of what I can make right now. If I'm in the hospital, it's definitely gonna be lower than what I can make out of the hospital, but I'm gonna make the best of what I can make right now. Be the person who follows through on the things that you say you're gonna do. Because the next time you put something in your calendar, the next time you say you're gonna get that goal or do this project, you're gonna, the next day wake up and say, I can't do that, I'm not doing that. You're starting to build the identity, either way, of the person who follows through or the person who doesn't follow through. And every time you say yes to yourself, every time you do it when it's difficult, you start to build up that identity a little bit more of I follow through, I follow through, I follow through. So then the next time you put something in your calendar, the next time you come up with a goal, you start to believe that it's actually possible for you to do it because you're building that identity of you being the person who actually follows through. And every time you let yourself off the hook, every time you give yourself a break, every time you say, it's okay, I'm not gonna do it today, every time you say that, you eat away at that other identity and start to build a new one. The new identity of the person who doesn't follow through. You start to believe yourself a little bit less. The next goal you write down is a little less credible. You don't think you can do it. You're gonna realize the next day that you're not gonna follow through. And so it's a very slippery slope to fall down. So step 1 is you build a calendar. Step 2 is you become the person who sticks to your calendar, who follows through on the things that you say you're gonna do. That's why it's important to create a realistic calendar. Don't tell yourself, you're gonna make 100 videos a day every day. You're gonna make 1,000 phone calls a day every day. You're not. You're gonna write 100 love letters to your wife every day. You're not. It's not gonna happen. Make it a realistic plan for something you can actually stick to. Because again, if you just stick to it, guys, you will hit your goals. If you stop quitting on yourself, if you stop letting yourself off the hook, that idea you had 3 years ago should have already come to creation because you just stuck with it. Just stick with it. Step number 3, so create a calendar, 1. Stick to your calendar, number 2. 3, the environment around you really matters. Videos like this really matters. Why I create the Espresso, to be with you every morning, to give you the boost, to bring you people like John Assaraf and Oprah and Elon Musk and these people who lift you up, who inspire you. Hopefully, that's the intention every time. Join a group like Movement Makers, be a part of a community, be around other entrepreneurs who are doing things, who are chasing their dreams, who are trying to make their thing happen. When you create that environment and you start to shift it, it inspires you to want to play bigger. It inspires you to want to stay consistent. When you are feeling at your lowest low, when you're about to quit on the thing that you said that you want to do, that's in your calendar, you see it today, I'm supposed to do that. You're like, I don't want to do that. What brings you out of it? It's the habits, it's the environment, it's the routine. Watch another video. Join a group like Movement Makers. Get a mentor or coach. Have an accountability buddy. You have to be around the people who constantly fill your cup, who give you light, who lift you up, who make you believe and help you feel like it's possible. When you do those three things, your life will change. Create a calendar that maps your actions to your ambitions. Be the person who follows through on their calendar. And then be around the people, videos, resources, environment that encourages you, that lifts you up, and makes you feel like it's possible. Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of following through on your goals. 35%, that's not enough. That's not enough just to get motivated. Believe Nation, we're here, you're here. Today matters, you're an action taker. When you commit to a plan of action, of when and how you're gonna follow through. When you write it down, you have a 91% chance of following through. And when you commit publicly to somebody else, it jumps to 95% chance. From 30-something% to 95% chance of you following through. Believe Nation, we need to make this happen. So question of the day, your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action specific for the next week. Put it down in the comments below and I'm gonna show on screen sometime next week to celebrate you.
Hey, this is John Assaraf, and do you love good books? I love to read because there's so much wisdom in books. You get to take somebody else's knowledge, skills, research, pay $15, $20, and you learn so much. Now, I'm reading this awesome book called Built to Serve. Find your purpose and become the leader you were born to be. And one of my new friends, really smart guy, really great guy who serves a lot of people, Evan Carmichael, wrote it, and I'm going to read a little bit from chapter number 1. And I love this piece, and maybe it's because I just watched the series on TV on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, which is really great, by the way, also. One of the things he says here is everybody has Michael Jordan talent at something. Everybody has a Michael Jordan talent at something. You just haven't found it yet. Or you have and you don't believe in yourself enough to go all in. To go all in, right? And you're a genius. I believe you're a genius. And so does he. You're amazing. You are not meant to live a photocopy of someone else's life. You were not created to wake up and do work that is below your capabilities. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something, and you need to uncover exactly what your purpose is and how you can serve and use the serve. So lots of pearls and gems and motivational pieces. Pick up Built to Serve. Evan Carmichael, rising star. If you can self-observe, then you can turn it outwards. But it all starts with being self-observing, awareness of when I'm uncomfortable, how do I respond? When I'm doubtful, how do I feel? When I've got negative self-talk going on, what's going on? When I'm procrastinating, what am I fearful of? Most procrastination, by the way, is done because of low self-esteem. If you knew how to get something done, you could do it highly effectively and on time, and you were loving it, you'd do it. But most people procrastinate because they feel doubtful. They don't have all the information. They're procrastinating because they're worried that if they don't do it perfectly, somebody's going to judge them. Cognitive priming, right? So what's cognitive priming? So think about this. When a baby is learning how to eat, okay, what does, mommy or daddy do? Mommy or daddy, takes the spoon and, she puts it in the jar. She pretends to eat it herself. And then she puts it into the baby's mouth. Open the mouth. And she puts it, and she does that to cue the baby's brain of what to do. So she pretends she's doing it herself. She gets the baby to do it. And through this repetition, a baby will learn spoon in the hand, in the jar, spoon has food on it, mommy's opening her mouth, she's bringing it to me, open my mouth, I put the food in my mouth, and, oh, this yummy thing feels so good, yum, 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 right? And mommy and daddy go, num, 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 so eat this food. And so if you think about what's actually happening, we're getting the motor cortex of her brain going. We're getting her taste buds going. At a certain point, we'll put the spoon in her mouth and put her hand in the jar so that she could do it for herself. So we're priming her through visual cues, through auditory cues, through taste cues, right? Through all of the different senses, we're priming her brain, and then we're reinforcing it day after day after day after day to create the neural network, the connections in the brain that if I want that yummy food in my mouth, I have to learn how to take the spoon in my hand, put it in the jar, get it all over the place initially until I could do it without spilling it all over the place.
Yes.
Well, that takes, weeks and months and years to tie your shoes, to learn how to eat, to learn how to brush your teeth.
All these things that are automatic now. Yes.
All the things that are automatic now. So before something's automatic, it's not.
Yeah, and it can feel really uncomfortable.
Right. So let's take a disempowering belief that you have. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm female. I'm male. Whatever it is, you have a disempowering belief. It's nothing more than a pattern in the brain. So somehow a pattern that wasn't there before got there, right? Who told you that? Your parents, your teachers, your brother, your sister, your best friend said, you'll never amount. Or who did that? It's really irrelevant. But if the pattern is there and it's a dominant pattern because you've believed it for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the case might be, and it's been reinforced, what does brain science say about how do I get rid of it? And it says, well, you'll never get rid of it, but you can deactivate it.
Okay.
How do I deactivate
I like
it?
where this is going.
Right? How do I deactivate it? So every time I catch myself saying I'm not good enough, or fill in the blank, take any limiting belief, and anytime you catch yourself saying it or feeling it, what if you said to yourself, stop. In the past, I used to believe that, and now I believe I'm more than good enough. In the past, I used to feel like I'm too young, but now I can use my age as a benefit to achieve that goal. Any limiting belief, we can do one of a couple things. We can say, in the past, I used to. And so what we're doing is we're not saying, no, stop that. We're not reinforcing a limiting belief by trying to fight it. We acknowledge it's just a pattern.
Embracing it.
And just say, in the past, I used to believe that. And now here's what I'm choosing to believe. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking an existing neural pattern and I'm changing the pattern. I'm taking away its energetic force by adding new words that I'm choosing now versus the ones that were given to me or the ones that I felt when I was too young to actually change it on my own then. So now I'm paying attention to my self-talk. I'm paying attention to the inner critic.
A lot of times when we are focusing on what we've lost or what we're losing, we're not focusing on what we've gained. A lot of times we're focusing, on what's possible as a result of this. We tend to monofocus, right, on either good or bad. I like it, I don't like it. It tastes good, it doesn't. It's hurting me, it's not. Well, what if you could learn how to observe both? What if you could observe the law of polarity in its entirety that says you cannot have an electron without a proton, an in without an out, an up without an down. You cannot have that on this planet, in this universe. So is it possible that with just a little bit of training, whether it's mindfulness or meditation or awareness, you can be sad, you can grieve, and be joyful and happy at the same time. See, it's when we are afraid that we're losing something that we've got that Frankenstein brain of ours saying, what if, what if, what if, what if, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And when we are in that state, we can't be focused on what are we going to do about it. Now, in a grieving state like with my mother, the only thing I want to do about it is make sure that we respect and honor her life and my brothers and sisters and my dad, etc. So I need to focus on that. And when we're talking about, a business going under, a relationship, that's unraveling right now, if you're focusing on all of the disempowering emotions and circumstances, you cannot be focusing on the solution to that possible problem. So you have to learn how to manage the emotions. And for those of you who don't know what that's like, I want you to imagine, I just got really mad and that's so funny. A Hollywood actor or actress learns that they are not their emotions, they have emotions. Now, everybody's going to grieve differently, but I want people to understand that you don't have to be disempowered in grief. You could be empowered in grief. And everybody's going to do it differently. And some people are going to go inside, some will go outside. But we have the ability to frame things in ways that empower us and gives us the best chance to move forward instead of being a victim of it. And all I'm saying is consider that you have way more power than you are displaying in your emotional management, in your focus, in your awareness, and in your behavior. And you can feel the entire spectrum of emotions. Totally cool with that. But are you being constructive versus destructive in your behaviors? Do we have to develop trust and rapport first? If I don't trust you and I don't have any rapport with you, I will not pay attention to your brand. So, hey, Philip, right? So I have to come up with a way to build trust and rapport first before I do anything else. So how can you build trust and rapport with people who don't know you or like you or trust you yet? So how can you build trust and rapport first? All right, how do you build trust and rapport first? And the answer is, come on, I'm reading all your comments. Give away some of your expertise. Give away some of your knowledge. Give away some of your best stuff. Thank you, Victor John. Give away your techniques, your tools, your advice. And so here's my question for you. How can you, and Ace Mantra or As Mantra, how can you give away stuff to people who need what you have? So think about your brand and ask yourself, the people who may want to buy my products or my services, my knowledge, my skills, what is it that I could give the people that need some help right now? So can you give them tools, tips, techniques? Can you do Q&A sessions to answer their questions? Can you give them infographics? Can you give them videos? Can you give them something written? Can you give them something to make them feel like they like you, trust you, and they maybe want to do business with you? So you have to let me just make sure I use the right word. You have to create the environment of trust and rapport. I do free sessions every Tuesday here, taking what I've learned over 40 years of building companies, over 40 years of successes and failures, over 40 years of investing millions of dollars, whether it's in marketing hundreds of millions of dollars, in marketing and sales over 40 years. I give away a lot of free stuff, whether it's on my YouTube channel, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever it is. I give away a lot of free stuff.
I was really fortunate when I was 19 years old. I met a wonderful gentleman who was very successful with his family. He was very successful giving to charities. He was very healthy. He was very gentle and kind. And when he started to share with me, to teach me that my entire reality was based on what I believed was real and what I believed was true about myself, about what's possible, and that I could change that, that's when my life started to change. And he said, if you start to change the way you think and you start to learn every day for 1 hour to upgrade your knowledge and your skills, and then you take action every day on the things that are the most important instead of all the different things that you can do. He says, if you focus on doing 3 to 5 things every day towards your goals, he says, in 1 year, you'll be in a totally different destination. 3 years, big distinction. 5, 10 years, your life won't be the same. And I was tired of living a mediocre to less than mediocre life. And so I said, listen, you seem to have a good plan and a good path. You're making millions of dollars. You're giving a lot of money to charity. You're happy. You're healthy. You've got a great family. I want that. And he said, if you want that, follow the blueprint. Don't try to figure it out. Just follow the blueprint. And that was another lesson that he shared with me, is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
Like if you want to fly right now, you don't have to figure out how to fly. There's already a blueprint for how to generate or create an airplane.
Yeah.
So if you want to be healthy, there's already a blueprint. If you want to make more money, there's already a blueprint. If you want to buy real estate or the stock market or start a business and grow a business, there's people before us that have already got the blueprint. And all you have to do is paint the numbers inside the box, and then you can use your creativity. So I just became a very good follower for a long time of things that worked. And when you follow things that work, it's like having the combination to a safe. If somebody gives you the combination to a safe and they tell you turn this way a little bit, 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 then open it, you can have access to it. But most people don't look for the combination. And then even when they get the combination, they try it in the wrong order. I was born in Tel Aviv, Israel, and moved to Montreal because my parents were tired of raising their kids in a war-torn part of the world, which was, in Israel and the Palestinian areas. And I'm sure everybody felt that same way in that whole region. My parents moved to Montreal from Israel, and at the time, I really had a hard time learning the French and the English language. And I developed some, self-esteem issues that I wasn't smart enough or as good as the other kids because I couldn't communicate when I was really young. And then I got into a lot of trouble as a young teen. From the age of 12 to 17, I got into a lot of trouble with the law, mostly because I had low self-esteem, if you can believe that. I did at the time. Are you interested in achieving that vision for your life? Are you interested in achieving those goals, or are you committed? Are you interested or are you committed? And I didn't know what the difference really was at the time. And so I asked him, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? And he said to me, he says, if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're interested, you'll use the fact that you didn't like school and you didn't do well in school to control your thinking and your self-esteem. He said, if you're interested, you'll come up with stories and excuses why you can't achieve those goals and dreams that you shared with me. You'll come up with stories and excuses as to why you don't want to do the work necessary to grow and to learn what you need to learn. He says, however, if you are committed, he says, you will do whatever it takes. You will upgrade your knowledge, you'll upgrade your skills, you'll become who you need to become, and you'll learn from whoever you need to learn to be able to achieve those goals and dreams. So, lesson number 1 is no matter what goal or vision you have, ask yourself that question, okay? Are you interested in achieving that goal and dream? Or are you really, really, really committed and willing to do whatever it takes? When I was 19 years old, okay, when I had a mentor, a man who was in his 50s, very, very successful, he agreed to mentor me and to teach me what he knew. And so he sent me home with some paper. And on the paper it said, what do you want to achieve in your health? What do you want to achieve in your relationships? What do you want to achieve financially? What do you want to achieve charity? What do you want to achieve as far as experiences? When do you want to retire by? How much money do you want to make?
Wow.
He asked me about 10 pages of questions. And at 19, I had no idea. Like, how much do I want to make? I want to make enough to pay my bills. I want to make enough to, just eat well and then have some fun. I want to go drinking with my friends. I want to go party and travel a little bit and pay for my apartment and a nice car and things like that. But he had me think, 1 year, 5 years, 25 years.
Wow.
And I was 19, and he made me write down the answers to these questions, even though I had no idea how to achieve them. He made me write it down. It took me a whole weekend. And then I went back and he looked at my papers. And so he looked at health and wealth and relationships and career and business. And he goes, good, way to do the exercise. I'm very proud of you. He says, now I want you to increase that amount. And so I said that, by the time I was 45, I was 19. I said, by the time I was 45, I was going to be a millionaire. Nobody in my family was a millionaire. Not my aunts, not my uncles, not my cousins, nobody in the area that we lived in. And I wrote that down. And he said, no, that's not enough. He says, you could do better than that. And I'm like, I'm swallowing, I'm scared, I'm afraid. How am I going to become more than that? How can I have all of this? He says, don't worry about the how right now. You worry only, and not even worry, but you write down what you want. And so I went back home and started to write again.
Again.
And took another, half a day to redo my goals. And he said to me, great, now in order for you to achieve those goals, what do you have to believe?
Wow.
I said, well, I have to believe that I can. I have to believe that I deserve it. And even though I didn't believe that I deserved it, he said, what would you think you had to believe? I have to believe that it could be done. I have to believe that I could learn the skills. I would have to believe. So he made me write out what I would have to believe.
Good question.
And then he said, great, what do you think you would have to do every day?
Wow. Amazing question.
Well, I guess I would have to come to work every day, and I'd have to really get good at what I'm doing, and I'd have to learn more than I'm learning right now because I hated to learn back then, and I'd have to, gain more skills, which I didn't have any. The only thing I was good at was I had an easy time talking to people like I am with you now. And he said, great, well, let's make a list of all of these things, and let's come up with a plan to do this. He said, so every day, let's look at some beliefs. And so every day he would have me look at my goals. And I would sit in my chair and I'd have my goals, that he had me write. And I would take my fingers, which he told me to touch my goals, so that I would send a message to my brain as I was reading it and seeing it to reinforce the goals that I wrote. Then I would read the beliefs that I needed to have. I have all the intelligence I need to achieve these goals. I can now acquire all the skills to achieve these goals. And I read about 20 or 30 different beliefs every day. And for the first month or 2 months, while I was reading all of this, in my head, this one word kept coming up. You know what the word was? Because as I would read it, my brain would say, that's not true. And he told me that my brain would try to talk to me and tell me it's not true. And he said, if you keep doing it over and over and over again, your brain's gonna get tired of telling you it's not true. And especially if after you do this, you take some actions to upgrade your knowledge, upgrade your skills, you'll develop more confidence and more certainty. So he taught me how to use the telephone to make telephone calls to people to see if they were interested in buying a real estate property or selling their home. I was in real estate at 19. And you know, for the first month it was hard, second month it was hard, the third month it was hard, but as I got better and more comfortable at being on the telephone, talking to people that I didn't know, that I thought didn't want to hear from me or talk to me, I found one person, then two people, then three people, then five people who said yes. Because as I became more comfortable, as I became more skilled, as I gained more knowledge, people received me differently. And in my first year, I made $30,000. I was 19, which was $5,000 more than my father made as a taxi driver.
Wow.
Then he started to upgrade my skills a little bit more. And he started to teach me some very specific things to do in real estate. And in my second year at 20, I made $151,000.
Wow.
5 times more income, because every day for 1 hour a day, I practiced my beliefs. I practiced seeing my vision. I rehearsed it. I got on the phone. I upgraded my knowledge. I upgraded my skills.
I love your story.
Thank you. And so he kept directing me a little bit at a time to become more tomorrow than I am today. And he said to me something that changed my life. He says, if you invest 1 hour a day on your personal growth and changing who you believe you are, that is the equivalent of 9 40-hour weeks of effort. 1 hour a day for a year is 9 40-hour weeks. If you and I said today, we're gonna learn breakdancing, or we're gonna learn knitting, and we're gonna spend 9 weeks, 40 hours a week, we would get good at painting, we would get good at knitting, we would get good at darts, we would get good at playing a musical instrument if we were committed to 1 hour a day. So I've practiced 1 hour a day for 32 years.
Wow.
And that 1 hour a day has changed my life.
We all have these patterns that are subconscious, that are driving our behaviors more than our conscious efforts. And so when we're dealing with the gorilla in the brain, and again, it's a metaphorical way to look at it, you have to understand that the gorilla is going to get whatever the gorilla is wired to get. The gorilla does not care about what you consciously want. The gorilla really focuses on the patterns that are going to keep it safe. And here's what safe means. Safe just means comfort zone. Let's say you're miserable. Let's say you're broke. Let's say you're overweight. Let's say you're in a relationship that you don't like. Let's say you're a job you don't love. That is safe to the gorilla. Why? Because it knows the pain it's already dealing with. It knows the discomfort. It knows the price it's paying already, versus getting out of that comfort zone, leaving the job that you're not happy with, leaving a relationship that you're not in love with, trying to earn more income, getting out of debt. You could be in debt and comfortable. You could be in a relationship you hate and comfortable. You could be in a job that you don't love and comfortable. And the gorilla is going to keep you in your comfort zone.
Let's say you have a fear of public speaking. Is it really a fear of public speaking that you have? Or is it a fear of getting up on stage and being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, or judged? Let me take you to another type of fear, being buried alive. Can you imagine for just a moment if there was an earthquake or there was a natural disaster and somehow you were buried alive? Wouldn't that trigger this crazy amount of fear of dying while you were buried alive? Now, why am I taking you there? I'm taking you there because fear is a subconscious trigger whenever we feel threatened. And the threat could be a threat for our very lives. And when that happens, we move into one of 4 modalities. And modality number 1 is we try to fight this feeling. Number 2 is we freeze because we're in such shock. Number 3, we may faint because of the neurochemistry that the fear causes, or we might run away if we can run away. Now, these neurological reactions are our brain's way of keeping us safe, which is the highest need and desire of the brain, safety above all else. So when we are looking to achieve a goal that we want to achieve, and it doesn't matter if it's, to start a business or grow your business or leave a relationship that you're not happy in or a job that you're miserable in, whenever we think about the actual behavior that is required to achieve that goal, once we get motivated in doing that, that's part 1 of how our brain works. But right after that, our brain has to analyze if there's any real or imagined danger associated with taking that action step. So if you are going to leave a relationship that you're not happy in, your brain is going to activate the memory circuits and discover what's in there that may have caused you pain and suffering in the past. And when that happens, whether it's a relationship you want to leave, a job that you want to leave, a goal you want to achieve, your brain is always analyzing, is there any danger here? And when there is real or imagined danger, the amygdala part of the brain, the emotional response center in the brain, is going to fire off an amazing amount of neurochemicals like cortisol, epinephrine, or norepinephrine. And it's that rush of those neurochemicals that causes this emotion, energy in motion, we label as fear. Now, once you have that rush of neurochemicals in your bloodstream, that actually gives you an enormous amount of energy. But what most people never have learned how to do is how to take that energy and channel it to action versus to fighting it, freezing, or running away. When you recognize a fear, I want you to do this. It's called exercise number 1. It's called Take 6, Calm the Circuits. When fear neurochemicals are released in your brain, you've activated the fear or stress response center in the brain. When you just observe the emotion called fear through being quiet and breathing 6 times in through your nose and out through your mouth like this. You take a deep breath in for 5 seconds. You blow out like you're blowing out through a straw. And if you do this 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, with 6 to 10 breaths, you're going to deactivate the fear response center, and that actually is going to reactivate your thinking center in your brain so that you can move on to exercise number 2. Exercise number 1 is Take 6, Calm the Circuits. Exercise number 2 is called AYA, A-I-A, and that stands for Awareness, Intention, Action. So here's how you do this. After you do the first exercise, then you move to exercise number 2, and then you ask yourself in a calm, relaxed state, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Am I calm or am I tense? Am I breathing deeply or shallow? Is my heartbeat fast or slow? And in this state of calm awareness, as you deactivate the brain's fear or stress response, you can observe what you are feeling and what you are thinking and what you were doing, and then you can ask yourself the next question, that is the I. What is my intention right now? Is my intention to move forward, or is my intention to stay in this fearful state? And chances are you're gonna say, well, I really wanna move forward. And then you ask yourself, what is one action step that I can take to move forward towards my goal and dream? So this is how it works. After you do the exercise number 1, to calm the circuits and to deactivate the reactive state that fear causes, and then you move into the second exercise called Aya to move into the responsive state. Awareness, intention, action now puts you in control of being aware of the fear, being aware, of what you've been thinking, and then being at choice of what you want to do. So when you combine these two exercises, you are now reconfiguring the neural network in your brain around the goal that you want to achieve. And instead of allowing the real or imagined danger to control you and to stop you dead on your tracks, you take one action step in a calm state, and that rewires your brain so that the same reaction doesn't hold you back anymore, and that you are now able to use fear as your fuel for success. Is your financial governor holding you back from doubling or tripling your income in the next 6 to 12 months? Now, you may be asking, John, what in the world is a financial governor? And I'll explain it this way. Many years ago, when the car companies were building engines that were faster and stronger and more resilient, cars could go 200, 250 miles an hour, some maybe even to 300 miles an hour. But because of laws in Europe and in the United States, these governors were put on the engine so that the car, even though it can go faster and perform even better, it was limited to about 155 miles per hour. So here we are, we have these cars that can go extremely fast, but for obvious reasons, to conserve on gas, to be able to have more safety on the roads, and to keep us generally all driving around the same speed limit, we created these governors to put on engines in order to limit the speed at which the car can go at. Well, what does that have to do with you earning more money, you accumulating more wealth? And the answer is everything. If you understand that you have a conscious brain that wants to set goals, but you have a subconscious mind that is going to limit your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and behaviors to what you are governed by, which is your subconscious mind, then here's one of the things that we have discovered. People who make $30,000 a year or $50,000 or $100,000 or $500,000 a year or $1 million a year or more, their financial governor is set at a totally different setting than somebody who's earning less. So why does this make a difference? Well, it makes a difference because there's a part of your brain that chooses the goal that you want to achieve, and there's another part of your brain that's responsible for everything else, your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and behaviors. And so if you don't have coherence between these two parts of your brain, if you don't know how to remove the governor and reset it, chances are you're going to have goals and dreams, financial ones and even lifestyle ones, that you're not going to achieve, not because you're not capable of doing it, it's just because you are wired, set, conditioned, programmed, whatever you want to call it, to earn the income you're earning right now, and maybe a little bit more each day, each week, each month, versus doubling or tripling or quintupling your income. Now, let me give you a different visual for this that'll hopefully cement what I mean. Let's say you're in a room that has a thermostat in there, and the thermostat is set to a nice and comfortable 70 degrees, and you feel nice at that temperature. What happens if you open up a window, and let's say it's winter, and cold air comes in? Well, what happens is the mechanism in the thermostat that picks up what the temperature is in the room picks up a deviation that cold air has come in the room. And what does it do? It sends a signal through the electrical system for the heater to go on so that the room gets back to 70 degrees. That's called a cybernetic mechanism, a control and respond mechanism that occurs in machines that we create them in, or in animals like us. So whether it's hot air coming into a room or cold air coming into a room, any deviation from the set program activates the air conditioning or the heat until the program and the room are one and the same. That is a cybernetic mechanism, as I mentioned, and here's what happens in us humans. If you're used to earning 30,000 or 50,000, 75, 100 or 200 or more, or you are used to a certain lifestyle, any deviation up or down from that setting, that comfort zone, that programming, kicks in your nervous system so that you either turn up the jets and earn more based on what you're used to, or if you do really well for a week, a month, a quarter, you actually back off and sabotage your success until you meet the setting that you have in your mind. That is how a governor works in a car. That's how a governor works in your brain. So if you want to double or triple your income in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, doesn't it make sense that you should reset your financial governor, the expectation point, the programming, the conditioning? Well, of course it does. What I've seen in my years of training, whether it's salespeople or entrepreneurs or individuals to make more money, is the ones that think that they could do it just by gaining more knowledge miss the point, because there's a part of our brain that gains more knowledge but doesn't change behavior. What you have to do is reprogram your financial set point, your conditioning, the expectation point. And when you do that, and you create this coherence between your goal and your dream and your subconscious programming, that is when your behavior starts to change. That is when fears dissipate. That is when you stop procrastinating. That is when you take inspired action and you don't sabotage the success that you are achieving. So, in order to achieve your goals and dreams, you have to reset your governor, reset your financial thermostat. The fascination that I have is around living in a world right now where we have access to all the how-to. How do I make more money? How do I grow my business? How do I have a great relationship? How do I, find the love of my life? How do I put a rocket ship on Mars? And a lot of people are confusing having information and how-to with actually doing it. And I've been fascinated just in understanding, how do I help people unleash more of their potential that already exists? And a lot of people may have heard, they say that we only use 5 to 10% of our brain. And that's not true. We use 100% of our brain's capacity and neural networks every moment of every day. But the potential to use more is there. And so our researchers at NeuroGym really are uncovering how to take the best information from the world of neuropsychology, neuroscience, and give it to everyday people so they can say, okay, how do I overcome my fear of not being good enough, my fear of not being smart enough, my fear of being embarrassed or ridiculed or ashamed, or fear of failure or fear of success. These are all psychological issues that everybody feels, but very few people understand. When I feel that, what do I do about it so that I can unlock more of my potential, so I can actually take more action, first on the things I already know that I could be and should be doing, but I'm not, and next on the behaviors that I could be taking to achieve my success easier and faster. And that's really my passion, is helping people unlock that amazing potential within them. I was taught the law of attraction, I was 23, 24 years old. Also at a real estate conference, they were talking about this law of attraction thing, that there's this energy, everything's made up of energy. I am energy, you are energy, and my thoughts, create this resonance between what I attract and what I don't. I'm like, oh good, I like that. Like I want to attract more of the good stuff, right? And so I bought in. Like I bought into stuff that just made sense to me. But then I was a voracious student. I wanted to understand how. Like, explain to me how it works. Like, if somebody tells me visualize, I go, why? Like, how does it work? Like, if you ask me to visualize, like, why does it work? Like, why should I invest my time on that versus something else? If you're asking me to use affirmations, like, how specifically, why, how does it work? If you're asking me to emotionalize, well, what's happening in me that tell me I need to create these false senses of feelings? I want to know why it works. The law of Goya is simply get off your ass. So if you think and you believe and you emotionalize, and you visualize, and you create your plan for how am I actually going to achieve this? So what do I need to do? When am I going to do it? How specifically? How am I going to tweak it, measure it, and iterate it so that I'm consistently making progress? I learned the value of progress versus perfection. None of my mentors ever had me focus on perfection. They had me focus on progress to just keep getting better. Little incremental gains every day, every week, every month, every quarter. And even when you move backwards a couple of steps, what's the progress that you made in what you learned? So I was taught that failure is an opportunity to learn. And I was also taught to disassociate me being a failure from failing. When you start talking about my brain, it's an organ. It's like your heart is an organ. You can speed up your heart. You can slow down your heart. You can, speed up the brain waves in your brain. You can slow them down. You can tune in. You can tune out. Yeah. We haven't been given the user's manual for the most powerful tool that we're aware of. Yes. That's right. And so the great news, I know you being an athlete and a successful businessman, you have discipline. You cannot
you can't achieve results
without some kind of discipline.
Exactly.
And so we know that there's some fundamental truths to achieving success. And every successful person will tell you, and Jim Rohn is, I know you love Jim Rohn, said you either pay the price of discipline or you pay the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
That's good.
But the thing is, can you teach discipline? The answer is yes.
How?
But you have to have a willing participant. And if the participant's reason why is big enough, if they know I want to achieve X, and the reason why, the motive for their action, motivation, the motive for their action is a reason beyond just themselves, chances are they will do more to achieve that success than if it was just left up to their own. But there are some people that are born, with incredible drive. They just have this insatiable drive, and they'll just, I'll do whatever it takes for the things that I want. And there's other people that want things, but they just don't have this insatiable drive. And this is where, as much as I hated school, I love to use school as an analogy. Yeah. In the game of life, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, career, business, spirituality, fun experiences, you have to decide what level of the game do I want to play at. Is it the grade school level, the kindergarten level, the high school level, the university level, the pro level? Because each one of those levels requires a totally different mindset and totally different skill set. They're building blocks on each other, but if you are extremely talented, but you're not prepared to practice and rehearse and drill and fall and fail forward to the next attempt, you will never make it as a pro. You will never make it as a pro business person. You'll never make it as a pro husband or wife or athlete or musician. You just never will. So just get used to that if you're not prepared to pay the price. If you are prepared to pay the price and you have the aptitude and the talent, now we're talking about there's some real potential here. And what we don't know is, what's in your heart? Like, what is the fire that stirs you, that you wake up saying, I will do this even when I don't feel like it. I will do whatever it takes to overcome my temptation for mediocrity, my temptation for excuses, my temptation for reasons and circumstances to hold me back. I won't allow those to be in my way. And if you have that within you, you'll achieve whatever you choose.
Right.
And so the question you asked before is, how do you develop that? Start small.
Yeah.
Start small. So if you don't have discipline, show yourself that you can give yourself one command and one follow through. So you know what? Right now I'm going to get up and I'm going to do 2 push-ups. Right now, not like later, now. Can you give yourself a simple command, one sit-up? Right now, I'm going to go get a glass of water. You start with something ridiculous. I learned many years ago, reduce it to the ridiculous. So if I reduce it to the ridiculous and I start, I say, can you do that? Great. Will you? Because that's the difference right there. That's the razor's edge. The people who can,
will you?
Will you?
Yeah.
Great. When?
Now.
Yeah. Right. So if you develop that skill, and specifically from a brain plasticity, a neuroplasticity perspective, as soon as you do that, you give yourself a command and you take the action, you have just created a neural pattern that you can give yourself a command and take action. Now, that may just be one time. Well, what if you did that every hour by putting a little bell on your computer? And every hour, like if my computer was open, I'd have every hour it would say, it's 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock. And
Really?
I'd take 60 seconds just to be in control of my mind. 60 seconds, I don't care where I am.
Stop what you're doing.
Stop, take 6 breaths,
Breathe.
just get centered. Am I on track? Am I off track? Am I doing something I shouldn't be doing versus a high impact activity that I need to be doing? Every hour, I've trained myself to just reset. I didn't always do that. So I just started with 1 a day.
Right.
Then 2.
Sure.
Then 3. Then it was working so well, I said, great, let's do this every hour. The first thing that you have to ask is, what are your highest values? So for me, for example, my number 1 highest value is God. My number 2 value is my health. My number 3 value is my family. My number 4 value is contribution to the lives of others. My number 5th value is fun. So every day when I wake up, I think about, what am I doing today to connect with God? For me. Just for me. It doesn't have to be, it's not religious, it's just for me. Then what do I need to do every day to make sure that I'm healthy? What I need to do every day to make sure that my family and my dear close friends who are part of my family, that I have the relationship that's rich. Then contribution. How do I use my passion, my gifts, my stories, my things I've not done well, things I have done well? How do I share that with the world? And in doing that, I feel good. And then I have to have fun. And so if I do those 5 things every day, then at the end of every day, I've had a great day. And if you have a lot of great days, then you end up with a really great life. And that doesn't mean that you don't have ups and downs and things that don't work and trouble that happens and things that come up. But if you keep your focus on what's important, then the rest of the stuff is really inconsequential. And there isn't 100 different things you have to do. There's 2 or 3 things in each one of the areas that's important to you that when you do those every day, you're so far ahead of the curve. I want to separate like behaviors and emotions. So usually when people say they're having a bad day, sure, certain things may have gone wrong or something that they tried to do, didn't work out. All information and experiences are processed at the non-conscious brain first, and then it gives rise to something we call a feeling. So emotions are processed non-consciously. The electrical and chemical reaction to that is called a feeling. So when I'm not feeling the way that I want to feel, I don't focus on the feeling. I focus on the cause, the neuroelectrical charge that's occurred in my brain. And in most cases, it's something that you're doing to interpret an event that's causing the neuroelectrical signal, causing the feeling. So in meditation, for example, why do you meditate? Well, obviously, it's great for a whole host of health reasons, whether it's less stress, less lower blood pressure, less cortisol release, etc. But the one thing meditation does more than anything else is it gives you the ability to have a pause of awareness so that you sense what's happening at the non-conscious level.
Right.
And what's happening outside of you. So when somebody behaves a certain way, it's processed at the non-conscious level, gives rise to your conscious mind for you to respond. And so when something happens, I like to be able to check in so that I don't react and I have the ability to respond. And if you do that enough through mindfulness, being aware, just being aware of exactly what's going on, then you have fewer and fewer of those times. So, something happened last week. I was in a hotel room and I spilled some water on a shirt that I needed for a wedding that we were going to. And my wife was, she was going off deep, and I was just calm.
Yeah.
And she goes, aren't you worried about this? I said, will it help?
Right.
Like, no, let's just figure out what to do. The accident already happened. Did you know that some of the most recent studies on setting goals and writing them out or typing them out on your computer will actually increase your chances of achieving those goals by up to 42%? Why? Well, as soon as you put the energy to writing out your goals and getting clarity, you're giving your brain the instruction that this is what's important to you. This is what you want to achieve. So don't be like all the other people where they have goals and dreams and they hope and pray for it to work. Be the type of person who sets her goals or his goals in writing and then focus on that every day, and you'll achieve more of your goals. Beautiful thing about the time that we're living in now is we can share knowledge and experiences, and anybody with a phone, an iPad or a smartphone or an Android or a computer, anywhere in the world, in the Kalahari Desert, in Antarctica, can get access and get inspired.
It's the best ideas in the world.
Yeah, to get the best ideas in the world, but to see that we're no different. None of us are different. The illusion is that we're different because we're comparing who we are compared to the person that we're listening to or learning from, and we're seeing the gap. And the gap is what causes us to be uncomfortable. But if we remember, we're all spiritual. We're all made from the exact same thing. If you think about the human body, it's made of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, helium. There's elements. But we came from the furnaces of stars. You can't have carbon, in the human body that didn't come from the inside of a star. Helium and hydrogen is what the Big Bang was initially made up of. And then as all the gases coalesced and created stars and then galaxies, we became, our flesh and blood and everything that we became, the organism, has come from the universal intelligence. That's why we're all connected. And that's why we all have the same abilities, different skills, different knowledge, but the same abilities to become all of the ideas, goals, and dreams that we have. And so we just have to say, that is what I want to trade my life for. And even though I don't know how, even though I may not feel totally comfortable or confident, or I'm lacking certainty, let's get on the path. And then we can change the world together. Let's say, you and I are buddies. We want to start a business, or we have a business. Come on, let's crush it. All right, let's do this thing. Let's triple our income this year. Let's make 30% more net revenues. Let's travel the world. Let's live this lifestyle that's amazing. And we get excited, right? So we go, oh yeah, oh my God, that's great. Let's do this. High fives all around. Dopamine's released. We feel great. We shared with our friends. We release oxytocin. So we bonded. Oh my God, I love you and you love me. And we feel great. We're going to conquer the world. And that happens all the time. But let's say that underneath the hood, there's a fear of, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough, or what if I fail and I embarrass myself? What if I succeed and I can't maintain it? What if I'm ridiculed because I try so hard and my friends will laugh at me? There are 50 different types of fears that are almost in everybody's memory bank that gets brought up to the surface. And when the fear circuit lights up, which is bam, automatically within either moments, hours, or days, when you start realizing, holy, what is it going to really take to double or triple my income and to take the time off that I want? As soon as that happens, when the fear circuit lights up then the system, the neuroelectrical chemical system floods with epinephrine, cortisol, and norepinephrine. What is that? Those are just 3 of the 100 chemicals in the brain that are part of the stress response system. Whenever you and I and everybody watching or listening thinks about or feels that there is potential danger, potential pain, whether it's emotional pain like being embarrassed or ashamed, or financial pain like not being able to have enough money to pay for my food or for my burger or for my cocktails or for my rent or my car or my airline ticket. If there is real or imagined possibility of discomfort, pain, the brake on motivation slams shut and we start to procrastinate. So we have this incredible system that can give us this motivation, the motive for action to go forward, but we have to temper it with our ability to recognize the trigger and the sensation in our body called a feeling that the non-conscious processing part of the brain that gives us this emotion called fear. All fear is processed at the non-conscious level of your awareness and then gives rise into the frontal lobes of the feeling that your body has. The average person that has not been trained feels fear and puts the brake on and goes and retreats into what they're comfortable doing. The successful person, either they may be genetically wired to understand feeling fear and doing it anyway, turning their fear into fuel, but that's not the majority of people. That's why 90+% of people fail and stay in that position. But you can take that fuel, that hypersensitive rocket fuel, I call it, and utilize it to actually motivate you faster, further than you ever got before.
Yeah.
Fascinating systems. If you don't know how to use them, too bad. It's like not knowing that a gun has got bullets in it and you pull the trigger. Holy, just blew my brains out. Not that you'd be able to, say that. They'd be like game over. But ignorance is not your friend when it comes to neurochemistry.
If you want another amazing John Assaraf video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
We developed a process called the 5R process. And the first R stands for
You retrain your brain one small decision at a time.